I'm asking for forgiveness. I want my sons to receive psychological and emotional healing.
This is Charles Edmonson and Mathew Edmonson, the parents of the triplets, aged around 6 to 8, and their 2 older siblings should have had a better life after being adopted. But instead, they only moved from one tragedy to another nightmare. It took 2 years of persistent investigation for justice to truly reach that dark basement.
I love you, buddy. Take care.
An Ohio man, Bailey Edmonson, becomes visibly emotional as deputies place him under arrest. He is accused of assaulting and endangering children who were adopted by his parents.
Can we roll down the window so she can get some air?
Yes, please.
Okay.
The police chief's body camera captured the moment his stepmother was arrested, just days before the incident was brought to light. Prosecutors described the alleged treatment of the 5 adopted children as severe. 3 of the children are triplets. Authorities call the conditions inside the home east of Cincinnati extremely concerning. The 5 children are described as siblings who were first placed in the home through foster care and later adopted, and they are also described as having medical needs or special needs. According to the detectives, the children were not provided with basic food and had been subjected to physically harmful treatment. Additional charges are brief against the couple. They now face 7 counts of felonious assault and 19 counts of child endangering, bringing the total to 31 felony charges each. Law enforcement confirms the identity of the defendants and the scope of the charges.
Hello? Deputy Bailey, you got anything in your pockets at all? Nothing at all. You turn this side out.
Mathew Edmonson turns herself in with an attorney present and provides minimal statements. A police report indicates the investigation began with an inappropriate contact complaint, brief in August 2022. Authorities later explained that investigations can widen when new evidence is uncovered, and separate allegations may trigger additional investigative steps and search authority. According to the information clarified, Charles is not bisexual. However, the 2 first met in an online chat room for gay people. Investigators note Charles Edmonson previously served time in prison in a serious SA case. Prosecutors state the alleged conduct involved an adopted son who was an adult at the time, but grooming-like behavior was alleged to have begun earlier. Police first investigated the matter in August 2022 after receiving a report from an 18-year-old who alleged inappropriate behavior by Charles Edmonson toward him. The accuser alleges Charles Edmonson committed acts of mistreatment that spanned 6 years. Among the allegations against him are one involving a young boy, believed by park employees to be his son at a state park, and another incident that occurred in a restroom. All of this is part of an investigation into the mistreatment that began in 2022. During that time, Charles Edmonson refused to cooperate with detectives or allow access to his phone. While Charles Edmonson was incarcerated for the prior case, both he and Mathew Edmonson were charged with felony child endangering tied to the adopted children living in the home. Prosecutors allege the 5 adopted children, all with special needs, were restricted to a basement area. The space is described as having a concrete floor, limited bedding, and minimal protection from cold conditions. Some sources use dramatic labels for spaces like this, but the core allegation remains the same: a basement or restricted area where children were kept under conditions authorities consider unsafe. Investigators allege the children were monitored through video and audio surveillance systems.
So when it was a cold concrete floor, sometimes there would be a mattress on this one bed, often not. The defendants, I'm not going to call them parents because they didn't act in any way that a parent should ever act. These defendants had installed a video monitoring system and audio so they could communicate back and forth with these children. They would be punished. They would be stripped naked, placed in the basement. There are images of one child in just a horrible mess of his own waste. These 3 little fellas, the triplets, they are just wrapped up with one another naked. And you can imagine why they're doing this. It is for warmth and probably for comfort as well. But we intend to prosecute this case.
The report mentioned in the brief notes that children were frequently taken to the hospital for serious health problems, including visible injuries and internal injuries, which authorities included as part of the overall picture they presented. Prosecutors state they intend to seek the maximum possible penalties. Authorities clarify that alleged mistreatment of the adopted children was uncovered during the ongoing investigation into the earlier inappropriate contact allegations. Weeks after the initial charges, the couple's 20-year-old son, Bailey Edmonson, is taken into custody.
I'm gonna check you real quick, make sure you don't have any guns or anything like that.
He is charged with 2 counts of felonious assault and 4 counts of child endangering. The sheriff states the charges relate to mental and physical mistreatment of children in the home. Investigators say the children were young at the time. The triplets were between 6 and 8 years old. Other siblings were older but under 13.
Some of the injuries that they sustained are consistent with the behaviors that would be exhibited by special needs children. And they didn't communicate. The defendants convinced them that adults were bad. They shouldn't report things that were occurring in the home to other adults. My kids, when they were little, they were injured all the time. I think I went to Children's Hospital 11 times in a 12-month period. You have 4 boys, they're breaking bones or getting stitches. So that's why I think it was easy to explain away these injuries.
Authorities also describe how injury explanations can sound plausible in day-to-day life, especially when frequent accidents are assumed. One reason cases like this can remain hidden longer than people expect. Deputies arrest Bailey Edmonson. The body camera shows him crying as he is placed in handcuffs and transported to jail.
I'll pat you down real quick, okay? Just turn around for me. No guns or knives on you? Bailey, I don't mean to be rude, but were you born a man or a woman? You were born a female?
Yes.
Okay. So what will happen? Sorry. Once we get to the jail, obviously you're gonna go through a body scanner. You don't have anything inside you, so I'm not gonna pat down below your waist or anything like that. Okay. So once we get to the jail, they're gonna check. Okay. Do you care to turn around for me real quick? And then
Bailey, you need to explain to them.
unlock your fingers for me.
Did you explain?
Can I give her my St. Christopher's medal really quick?
I'll take it off for you, or I'll have her do it. Okay.
Tell her the dogs are not locked up.
I will tell Peanut. I will also text your mom, and you will be apparently tomorrow in court for your bond hearing. I'll be there. I love you, buddy. Take care.
Bailey Edmonson was being escorted into a patrol car by police officers, preparing to be transported to jail. At that moment, he turned to speak to the woman who had removed his necklace.
Do you need anything else? No. Okay.
Okay, I will tell him all about the dogs and everything.
So there's a cruiser behind this white car.
Okay.
Julie, can you tell? Sorry.
You're fine.
I'll call your grandpa.
Can you tell me you really love her?
I will. I will, sweetie.
Edmonson cried the entire way as he was escorted to the patrol car by the deputy sheriffs.
Just get us back. Can we roll down the window so you can get some air?
Yes, please.
Okay. Just slide on there, sorry.
What do you think is the reason for these tears? Is it because of what he've done, or because he've been found out? Please comment below. Liu Crew would love to hear your opinion. Authorities confirm the children are now in protective custody.
Obviously, it's terrible, and I understand that the children are now in protective custody, but this took place, I guess, as of several months now. It sounds like there was some opposition to them being placed there originally. That's my understanding.
Definitely.
Obviously, there are a lot of working components of what took place, and parts of the case investigation from the CPS to the sheriff's office to other detectives. So kind of hard to have all the working pieces of the puzzle to understand all the dynamics, but it would be good to see what, how the outcome is adjudicated. So
Investigators explained that it was only after accessing data on Charles Edmondson's phone that they discovered crucial evidence. One recorded description indicated the victims huddled together on the basement floor to ward off the cold. This led to a larger question. In actual criminal investigations, how often do they uncover additional activities beyond the initial scope?
Typically, so it's pretty common for us to investigate and uncover other crimes or other additional offenses that may have taken place within the same context of the case. It's really contingent upon what kind of data is available, what kind of evidence has been discovered. So in this case, I understand Mr. Edmondson was charged for one particular or several particular offenses, and upon examination of the phone, that new discoveries of these allegations, these videos, images were discovered. So then you go back to your prosecution and approach that with additional search authority if necessary, and or additional offenses to be charged. Of course, separate investigations require separate discovery, separate search authority, separate components as to what's required. Are there additional victims, or is it potentially the same victims that have been offended or criminalized in a different manner? So just contingent upon the totality of the evidence that we find.
Authorities acknowledge the possibility of further charges and state the investigation is ongoing. Officials discuss the likelihood that conduct inside the household involved coordinated actions to reduce outside detection. Prosecutors say the children are doing better under protective care. Concerns remain about how the adoption process was approved, despite prior opposition. The court report in the brief also notes that a Clermont County judge subsequently declared Mathew Edmonson competent to stand trial, based on a mental health assessment considered in court. October 15th, Bailey Edmondson and Mathew Edmondson remain in the Clermont County Jail. As the case continues through the legal system, Mathew Edmondson pleaded guilty to child endangering and was sentenced to 13 years in prison. Charles Edmondson pleaded guilty to child endangering, felonious assault, kidnapping, and was sentenced to 15 years in prison.
We're here for a plea and the plea agreement.
Occasionally the boys would be allowed to wear a pull-up, but would not be allowed to use the restroom and would be left to sit in their own filth. They could not hold it.
She, along with her husband Charles Edmondson, is currently appearing before a judge in Clermont County.
Honor, I'm here in front of you because I believe God has a purpose for my life. I know it's taken a lot of mistakes to be here, and I'm now seeing the bigger picture. I want to break the negative cycle. I'm asking for forgiveness. I want my sons to receive psychological and emotional healing.
The 31 charges against each person are not just numbers on paper, but a summation of thousands of horrific days and nights for 5 innocent children. When the sentences were pronounced, we realized a harsh reality. The more vulnerable the children are, the more sophisticated the perpetrators' schemes become. Bailey, Mathew, and Charles all paid the price, but the scars on the concrete basement floor will likely haunt the victims for years to come. Today's true crime case reminds us of the importance of child support centers and children's right to speak out. Support and connect with local child protection organizations to ensure every child has a real home, not a place of confinement. Your concern today can change a child's fate tomorrow. Thank you, and see you tomorrow on Liu Channel.